I'm going to show you guys a few options of what you could do in Dimension to kind of set the scene, give yourself some backgrounds, have some fun with these things. So I'm just starting with three of these very simple ones here. And first off, I'm just going to position them a little bit more interesting, kind of maybe a little bit more up front. Get them as a group shot. Let's see, I'm going to turn this around, trying to get a straight on view like that. Perfect. So let's say, I think a few of you have jars or something uniquely different where one of your models is a little shorter. So I'm just going to cheat that really quick and show you what you can do. Real quick, go over here, go to the position tool, and then you're going to float this one up. And how you know it's floating is you're going to see that shadow kind of underneath it, right? Okay, so move it over here. Now, in this area here, you've got a few different options. You've got all these cool little shapes. Think of these as props that you can bring into when you're putting this together. So you got a cube, go over here, cylinder, perfect. So I'm gonna just take this, bring it over here. Obviously it's way too big, so with the scale, we're gonna bring this down, perfect. And now I'm gonna squash it and get it right underneath that guy. With the move tool, move it underneath here, maybe like that. And if we need to, we can make this not so wide. So you're just giving it a little bit of a pedestal, and it's helping the situation. It's helping it kind of even out a little bit. Grab this guy, bring it down, should be right on top. A good way to check it is just take the orbit tool again and rotate around, and you can see, yep, it's on it. So that looks good, okay? So let's say you like that. This one here, move it to the middle. This one here, here, and then maybe turn it just a bit like that. So if you have a good setting and you like the way this is set up, some of the other things you can do is there's some props that you can add. Like I did with this one here, maybe what we'll do is we'll make that look, since I'm using that dark wood, that lighter wood there, I'm gonna make this a slightly darker wood like that. You've got these other things that are really cool, like these splashes. If you're gonna use them, go light on them. They're cool to use, but I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do. So I'm just gonna put it like here. That's in front, right? So now take this with the move tool, and you're gonna put it behind it, okay? Get the scale tool, and you can make it a little bit bigger. Just go easy on these. They could overwhelm sometimes. And then you go down to your substrates, I believe it is, or just materials. And here you got water, you've got beer, you've got olive oil. Always start with like the water and just bring that over to it, okay? And what you can do is you can give it a slight tint. So you can give it a color if you want, like maybe it's just a little bit more of a like watercolor. So I'm gonna just give it a tiny bit of a blue, okay? And if you do the quick render, you'll kind of get an idea of what it looks like. See, it looks more authentic when you do that, okay? So there's your splash. That's kind of cool. It's starting something, okay? Now, for your backgrounds, you have so many different options that you can do. We've looked at before where you can literally just grab a background color like this and bring it over, and you've got an instant, nice, subtle, clean environment. Again, I'm gonna click the quick render just so you can see what that kind of looks like. Has a nice vibe to it. What you can do is you can take that horizontal gradient, and instead you can click on here, and in color or an image, bring in some of the colors you're using of your brand. Let them be appropriate, or let them be completely opposite, right? With these being light, maybe you bring in something like this or a little bit dark. When you bring in something that's a pattern, be careful here because you're creating a scene that's got dimension obviously in it, and a pattern like this would only work on something maybe that's an overhead. So I wouldn't suggest using a pattern for say on these because you want it to feel like it's an environment and there's a little bit of a shade. So it gives you a few of these where you can bring like these kind of things in there. And of course you can set that in there. I don't think that's really an appropriate one for this because it kind of looks like a living room. So you can find something like this, or find a background image online, search for, studio backgrounds, maybe even make one in Photoshop. If you find some really cool images you want to play with, totally go with it. There's a ton of different things you can do here as well. So for now, I'm just going to take this out. We just still have our white background, okay? So there's some cool things you can do here as well. If you want something unique or different, first thing you could do, go up here and you'll see you have cloth back here. You've got cloth on a table. You've got all these cool like things that you can do. So watch this. I'm gonna take this cloth back. I'm gonna put it right there. Perfect. So see what this did? It kind of gave it a studio background. Like there's a drape in the back and then it's curved and it's coming at you. You can obviously move it around, find a good position for it. Maybe what you do is you can put your products on 3 different pedestals if you need to for this. Or I'm going to take the rotate tool and see if we can find a better spot where it shows just a bit of it. Oh, that's kind of cool. That looks neat. All right, so let's click here. Just get an idea of how it's starting to look. Not bad. All right, cool. So maybe this color could be a little bit different. So we could take that actual thing here, the backdrop, and what we could do is we can give it a cool color. So let's see, we're not using a yellow, so I'll try to put in maybe a light, maybe even a dark. What happens here? Cool. Just giving you some ideas. Try that. See how that looks. Cool, you're getting an idea of how that would look. Maybe we zoom in a little bit more so we can see these. I'm just scrolling with my mouse wheel there. Okay, so that's one thing you can do as a cool little background if you want to try. This cloth back is really neat. You can see it's quite big. That's why it was looking a little weird. Let's do that. We'll go to scale here, bring it down a little bit, and then bring it behind it. Gets a little confusing when you're dealing with all these different, let's see, here it is. Okay, move it back. There it is. Okay. That might look a little bit better. Make it a bit bigger. There we go. Okay, so let's zoom in on that. Does that help a little bit? There we go. So you can start to see, you're basically just creating a studio with all these elements and trying to create something kind of fun and interesting for the brand. Okay, so I'm gonna take that one out there. The other little feature you have, other than what you're gonna bring in, like let's say that cloth background or your own colored background or image, is you can work with these planes that are in here. So I'm gonna zoom in a little bit here, actually zoom out. Go up here, and you see you have plane right there. Okay, it popped it right there in the middle. So with the scale tool, I'm just gonna click on it, make it a little bit bigger. And if I need to, I can make it quite bigger by just going there. Imagine this is like a piece of foam core and you've just placed it on the ground and you've got this ready to go, right? So let's curve it around and see what we've got. Okay, we made it quite a bit long in perspective, so it doesn't need to be that bad. Let's go and make it a little bit smaller. There we go. Okay, like that. Now you bring in another plane, and when you bring this in here, let's see. Here it is. Okay, cool. See, it's a lot smaller. So I'm going to raise it up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it that way. And when you get to 90, that'll should be straight up perpendicular to that. All right, that's not bad. Cool. To the base. Now we're going to go to the move. And let's see. Here. These are tricky. Best thing I like to do is actually turn this around. Zoom out. And you can see how your entire piece is looking. So with this, I know I need to bring it back here. Cool. And we'll make it bigger with the scale tool. There we go. Now let's go back to the front zone. Okay. Reposition it in the middle. Zoom in a little bit. Cool. Change our angle. There we go. All right. Perfect. So now you got a really good horizon line in the back as well. Okay, so now here's where you can have some fun. You can actually take this piece here and you can apply, what you have to do is you have to go to object and convert to standard model. The plane, for some reason, is just not going to take any attributes you give it unless you go to this convert standard model. So with that, collect here, and on this one here, let me try it again. Object, oh, it's already done. Okay, so I've got this done. Now I could take any of these materials. I can take this striped stone and put it down here. Okay, then I could take anything else I want. I can go to some of these as well. I can go to the cedar. I can go to this glossy back. I can go to this, which has like a little bit of a texture, I believe, to it. Yeah, there you go. Let's click on that. All right, it's definitely very pixelated on this. I don't know why it's showing up there, but you can get the idea of what you've done now is you've given it more of a studio environment. You've put in actual background and foreground. And what's neat about it is you can see how the reflection's working. It's really cool, okay? Also, some other stuff you can do is you can put like glass down here, and it's gonna give it a super reflective thing when you go into the render, which is kind of cool, especially when you put something unique like, let's say, brass on the back here. Doesn't look right, but when you click here, you're gonna get a different idea. See how that's the true lighting of what it would look like. And you can see that bottom being frosted glass is now picking up reflections even more so, particularly from like the brass in the background, okay? And look at this, you get this really great little setup. Experiment with them. There's so many different options here as well. Some of these look really cool. Like you might even have like crackled concrete. If that's the vibe that works good for your brand, go for it. Just make sure they're appropriate. I think you got plenty here to mess with. This is even cool where it's like smooth. What is that one? Smooth silk. It doesn't look that good. Don't forget, it's also editable. So notice here, there is a base color. I can change that base color to something totally different in my color range. Right? Let's try that yellow. There we go. And see how that would look. Oh yeah, it's actually, there you go. Not bad. Okay. So have fun with those. Try out all of these different things. You might find something really, really works nicely as well. So when you've got this, what I always like to do is, let's say our finished one, I'm going to put this brushed metal down here just as our, there you go. Okay. And let's find one more thing for the back that's a little bit more appropriate. Cool. That's nice. A little contrast. The bottles do stand out here. If this is the vibe you like and it's working good, here's where you can have some fun now. If it works and everything looks good, what I like to do is get a nice kind of like centered arrangement where it feels good. This is like where you want. It's the angle you want. Get it like right there. Okay. Go up here to camera bookmarks. You're going to click on this, and what you're going to do is you're going to press this, and here's where you can put front view, okay? And this is literally a bookmark for where the camera is right now. If that's what you like, excellent, working good. We got that ready to go. Now, what you can do is you can get a much more dramatic image. Let's say you want it to be a little bit more from a top, like this, and you're going to move it around. Don't move the models. You're just moving the camera angle on these, okay? So I'm gonna do that. Let's turn it a little bit more. Maybe it's like this. Whatever you think would be a cool secondary image. And maybe this one's zoomed in a little bit more. We wanna have a few different variety of angles, position, you name it. Close up, far away. Take this, go back up here. Now you can say above 1, right? So you're just calculating and saving all of these different perspectives. Maybe you want one that's a little bit more from the bottom view. So you can go like this, move it around, and make it even more from the bottom. So we're going to tilt it like this. You can see once you go past the horizon line, it completely flips it almost upside down. There's another one. Click here, and you can say below 1. So I'm just giving them numbers in case I'm going to do multiple things. So when I'm here, I can go back to front, I can go to above, and I can go below. So you get all of those in there. Don't change or move the models. Just move the camera angle between these 3 pieces right here. Okay. If this is good and you're happy with it, you've made a few camera angles and you've bookmarked them, this is awesome. Save that. That is your dimension number 1, right? So you can just say 1. However whatever your way of doing this is totally up to you. How you save it, where it is, what you want to call it. Now, this is where you can have some fun. What I do is I'm going to go save as, and then you're going to do dimension 2, whatever you want to call it. Remember, you can't have 2 dimension files open at the same time, and you can't cut and paste or copy and paste from one file to the next. So because I've just made a duplicate of these, now I can zoom out a little bit. Let's get rid of some stuff. I'm going to get rid of that background. I'm going to get rid of the splash, and I'm going to get rid of the thing there. So now take this, bring it back to the base. Looks boring, right? This is where you can have some fun and change the whole idea here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go turn it where I can see it completely upside down, or from the top, actually, like that. And just for the idea here, I'm going to put this dark wood here so we can get an idea of what it is. Oh, that's got like paneling in it. That looks terrible. Let's put this one. No. Let's just do cedar. How's that look? Nope. Let's try some of these. Fine grain. No. Cement. Cement's fine. Okay. Now, what I want you to do is we're going to go back, get these upright. Just like that. Move this guy around here. Now you're going to take all 3. You just hold the shift key down. And what you're going to do is move them up. So you're going to float them, right? Now, let's get them a little higher. And then take this one and you're going to flip it to its 90 degrees right there. Cool. Now look at, they're like totally floating. They're over the background image. Now you can go back to the orbit and turn the camera angle to get them completely like this. There we go. And just get a cool angle that you think works. Okay. Perfect. Now these are floating, so they're going to give a cool drop shadow, which is kind of cool. Move them around. Now you're just moving them in space. This is kind of neat. Excellent. Okay. So you want to have even more fun. Take this, Option, and drag, and make another one. Click this, Option, take another one, move it here. Option down, move this one here. So you can see what you're doing is you're making that cool overhead floating collage of these. Okay. Oops, I didn't have the Option key down. You can see the difference. Option, then drag and position it. Notice it's keeping all the perspective alive. You don't have to do anything else. You can see how it's tapering a little bit because of the camera angle. Move this one over here. Okay. Maybe even you leave a little space to put the logo or to put maybe some call to action. But notice when I orbit this around, they all stay pretty cool. Look at that. Nice. So center it where you want. Okay. Now I'm going to try to do a quick render just to see what would happen. There you go. See all the shadow that it casts on there? It looks totally real, totally authentic. Again, this could be a fun little way to have a unique one for you. So I'm going to take that off. Now, you can do your camera angles again here. You can go here and you can save. Actually, what's interesting is because you got these from the last one, I'm going to delete those and make new ones, okay? So from here, you can say above 1. Grab this. Change it this way. Maybe you want to show it a little bit more like that. There. Remember, we're not moving the models. We're just changing the camera angles. Next one here, above 2. All right. Toggle between. There's that one. There's that one. So even in one file, you could be rendering 3 or 4 different ones. Another thing you can do is just zoom in on these. Get really close. You remember we want to have 1 or 2 that are super close up where you're getting to see these things and you get to see the detail of all that work you're putting into it. So with here, maybe you move them around a little bit, but you get this beautiful close-up of all of your things here, okay? So that could be another one that you want to save, all right? So I'm going to save this file. Now we have dimension 1 and dimension 2. Okay, last but not least, you're going to open up dimension 1 again, okay? I'm only doing that because these are the ones that are flat on a surface. They're not the floating ones that are hovering over the piece, okay? So if you want, now you can do a save as, and you can say dimension, whatever you want to call it, or you just call it, I'm just going to go tube 1, okay? So now I just want the tube. This is how you make your tube only one without the other ones. You're just going to do that duplicate copy, get rid of everything else. If you want to get rid of that as well, cool. Zoom in. You can change your backgrounds. You can do whatever you want. This is how you would make that one of just the tube on its own, okay? Perfect. Maybe you want to do something like where you have it off to the side and you have a cool little call to action or something unique about that one. This could be a great rendering for just that as well, okay? Don't forget, you can do all your camera angles. You can make this one as far as like, let's get rid of this. This could be side shot 1, cool. Then you can do, change the angle a little bit, move it over here, and zoom in. Show off some cool detail. Maybe you want to show off some of the copywriting or something cool here. However you want to do that close-up shot, remember, we haven't moved the model. We're just moving the camera. And I want to get in on this top part. Maybe this is where your collection name is, and you really want to show that off. Perfect. Add here, close-up 1, okay? So you see what I'm saying? Each file can have multiple perspectives and camera angles that allow for great variety in your case study, all right? So you're going to do the same with the other ones. You save this tube 1, right? Save that, go back to the home, and you can go back to that first one again, and now you can do the same thing for the bottle. You can duplicate it or do a save as, call it bottle 1, and then you're going to do the same thing. Get rid of everything else. Just have the bottle, your backgrounds, whatever little add-ons you want to add to this or backgrounds you're using, and there you go. So next thing you know, you've got the dimension 1, you've got the hovering one, and then you've got individual ones of all of your pieces that are by themselves. And you can continue to add and do as many of them as needed. So definitely have fun with it. Play around with certain things. You've got all these other things to do. You can bring in funky little things like this as props. If you want to have some fun with these things, colorize them, put some textures on them. There's so many different ways you can take these things and just have them as little accents and things like that. You see here too, you've got like these kind of things, these little half pipe things, which are kind of cool. These are fun to play with. This one looks like it's way beyond the piece there, so it didn't work too well. You got your splashes. You got a tabletop, which is kind of cool. You've got a t-shirt. So you could do some really cool stuff here. You can even do like a little bag as well if you want to do some merch and some stuff like that. Let's get that a little bit smaller. There we go. Look at that. Add your artwork to here. Put it in the image with your products. It's a great way to go. You got your t-shirt, all different kinds of things. Don't forget the cloth background here as well. You've got shopping bags that you can add in as well. This is fun to play with. There's one there. You got a book. So look through all these things. These things could be some of your merch and some of your swag right off the bat. And it's right in the same app that you're building all the other ones, okay? So that's the demo I wanted to show you guys for this. Definitely make sure you are duplicating and doing save as's with a lot of these, so that way you're not ruining something that you spent a lot of time creating. Sometimes it's frustrating just because you can't have 2 files open at the same time. So be conscious of what you're doing. Make a duplicate, do a save as, and just keep building a lot of these files until you've got the ones that you want to render, and you'll have a great library of stuff to populate your case study.